All right, I am being informed we are all set to go, so please, everyone, put your hands together as Rujasu. They will be showing us a fantastic run of Dungeons & Dragons, Warriors of the Eternal Sun, no hide percent. Rujasu, please take it away.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Rujasu. I'm going to be running Warriors of the Eternal Sun here. So before I do anything else, the first thing I need to know, what won the bid war?
One moment here as I update. It looks like
Sure.
we shall be running a cleric.
Ooh, cleric. All right, so cleric is probably the diciest possible run. So for cleric, I am going to need to go into party creation here, and time does start on entering party creation. So we're going to start here in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so I'm going to take a cleric, and I'm going to roll dice here until I get 18 strength. I'm looking for pattern. I know exactly how to get it. I'm looking for, yeah, that's the pattern. 12, 15, 18. All right, so I'm going to make a few more clerics, but they don't matter. We're going to be killing them off. And done. All right, so this is a Dungeons & Dragons game from 1992 for the Sega Genesis. It is based on basic D&D rather than advanced. So character classes include, you know, elf, dwarf, halfling. You don't have classes versus race, that sort of thing. And this is in the Hollow World setting, if you're familiar with that. But yeah, this is a kind of an interesting twist on an RPG because the Overworld has kind of turn-based battles similar to Ultima. You know, it's third person. You fight enemies just kind of on the Overworld. You can see them coming. And then when you go into a dungeon, it's sort of similar to like Eye of the Beholder or Lands of Lore or something like that, where you're first person, real time, fighting like that. So we're going to be avoiding all of the overworld encounters. The overworld battle system here is pretty cool, but it's turn-based and kind of slow, and we want to just save all the time and do this in like a half an hour. So we're going to be avoiding all of the overworld encounters, and to do that, I'm kind of walking in a pattern here that sort of manipulates to avoid as much as that as possible. So you see there's a lot of trees and water around here. I'm kind of trying to walk like toward the trees, toward the water, toward the cliff, because if you're walking toward an obstacle, an enemy can't spawn in front of you, so it prevents enemies from showing up. So you see I haven't seen an encounter yet at all. That's great. So here I'm going to do a quick save before I go in this dungeon. And in this dungeon, I'm going to get the 3 other party members killed off, and then I'm going to get some good loot that I'm going to need later. So I'm going to go back here. There's a dragon. I'm not going to fight the dragon. I'm just going to sneak past it. So I'm just going to wait for it and get a sword, a shield, some treasure, a bow, lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff that I can't really use because we picked the cleric, but I can use the armor and the treasure. I just can't use the weapons because this is, you know, clerics can't use the edged weapons, that sort of thing. But I do have 18 strength, and I will be getting a slightly better weapon in a little bit here. So I kill this giant here. Normally I wouldn't be killing the giant, but with the cleric, I do need to level up a little bit so that I can buy a weapon later. You need to be level 5 in order to buy like +1 weapons at the store. So I'm just doing that. So I didn't level up there, but I will level up when I fight this next batch in this cave up north. So I need to go to this cave up north for a plot trigger. You know, it's just you need to sort of stand on the magic square and get a message, and then we have to go back to town, talk to somebody, get the item, you know, like you do in these RPGs. So these enemies here are really easy, so I only have the mace, but that's going to be fine. It's going to be enough. With 18 strength, I'm dealing like twice as much damage with this mace as I normally would, so that helps out a good bit. This Buckling Gore here is, you know, looks like a boss or something, but it's actually a really easy enemy. And I got out of here without any extra encounters, so that's cool. Off to a pretty nice start here. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be backtracking to town after I do a save here. Whenever you see overworld encounters, you can just save on the overworld and then reload, and when you load a save file, there's no enemies on screen, so if we do get overworld encounters, we can just skip them like that. So that helps out, but it does cost a little bit more time than just not getting them at all. So I'm going to be heading back to the castle here, and I'm going to be picking up some weapons and a key item, and then taking a shortcut right back to the cave where I was. So just backtracking now, so if you have any announcements, now's a great time.
All right, just real quick, we do have one donation from, I apologize if I'm getting this wrong, from Gar, who sends in $100 saying, "I think RPG Limit Break is pretty cool." So do we. Now, real quick, you probably did cover this, but what exactly is the no-hide glitch?
Oh, right. I should explain that. So the most common category for this game is any percent, where we always use the thief for any percent, because the thief has a glitched hide ability. So normally in Dungeons and Dragons, you know, you hide, the thief can hide and can sort of get one critical hit and then come out of hiding. So there's a glitch in this game where if you do that in dungeons, the thief never comes out of hiding and can get critical hits for the entire rest of the game. So do a bunch more damage, and you can just kind of walk through overworld encounters without having to save and reload at all. The one downside to that category is you have lower armor class, but also you have to hide at the beginning of the run, and it's pure RNG, so you just stand there trying to hide for sometimes like a minute, and that's sort of inconvenient. So I am going to buy a +1 Warhammer here and a sling. The sling's really terrible, but I just need a missile weapon, so I'll go ahead and equip those, and I'll switch my HP from bar graph over to numbers. So I'm going to walk over here, grab a key item, and then we'll be heading back to that cave, and that's kind of where this run really starts in earnest, because that's the first real challenging dungeon we have here. So just take a little shortcut here. And poof, we're right back up here. So I will do a safety save outside of this cave because there are a few dangerous enemies in here that can take me out in 1 or 2 hits. I have 18 HP, which isn't too bad, but things can happen. So first up, we have this carrion crawler here, which has a paralyze attack, so that's one thing that could go wrong. Get paralyzed, but fortunately I didn't. And we have a few enemies in here that do a fair bit of damage, so we want to just take them out as quickly as possible. So these 2 Ataras. Next up will be a bunch of troglodytes. Troglodytes are pretty pretty easy enemies, but there's a bunch of them. They can get in a couple of damage here and there, and we just want to be taking as little damage as possible, really, because we only have 15 HP now. So every point of damage sort of counts in this run. So I'm just walking over here, and a few more troglodytes here, and then a few more tuataras, and then a very dangerous enemy that I'm a little bit scared of, but we're going to do a little skip past it, and you'll see kind of why I got the sling here in a bit. You really need some kind of a missile weapon. Usually we use the bow, but Cleric can't use the bow, so we use the sling. Come on. Move. Okay. It didn't work. Okay. Okay. I might end up taking a death here, but I'm going to try to survive. That Phobosukis is the bane of this run. In any percent, we can kill it, but with this Cleric, it's very hard to kill, so we just try to skip it, and sometimes it doesn't cooperate. Yeah, it hit me from behind. That's fine, it's just going to cost me like a minute or so. So I'm just going to reload from the save here. Okay. Okay, so we're just going to do that bit again, and hopefully it goes better this time. So, yeah, this part's not too dangerous here. Attack this from range. If you have anything to say while I'm repeating this part, go ahead.
All right, we do have a couple donations come in. We have one $30 from Anonymous. It says, Warriors of the Eternal Sun took me forever to figure out as a kid, but I still had tons of fun with it. Glad to see it getting some recognition. And then we have a $55 donation from Prof NES. No comment, but thank you all the same.
Thank you for that. Good to see some people who enjoyed this game growing up. This was one of the first RPGs I ever played. But I didn't get very far in it as a kid because I had one of those cartridges with a dead battery. So I couldn't save. Alright, so once again, we're going to hope that this Phobosukis here doesn't bite us. So we're down to 7 HP, so that's a little dicey, but we should be able to survive, and then we'll get a healing item after that. Okay. I was able to skip it, and let's see. I'm going to take this a little bit slow and cautious. Get through here. Okay. So I'm gonna spam arrows here to get through that. And we got out, so we have 7 HP, but that's not a concern going forward. I may have to take a rest to heal up HP, but I'll see if I can avoid that. Might do it anyway, just to be safe. This game really trolling me on the way out of here. You hope to not encounter any of those rats or spiders or frogs, but sometimes they happen. So I'm going to go ahead and rest up here since I have a cleric, so I can use heal spells. So I'm just going to do this now and make the rest of the run a little safer. And I'll save. Okay. We rolled kind of low on HP. Usually I have like 26 HP instead of 21. So that's making things a little bit dicey here. But it's fine. In this next area, I'm going to pick up a Ring of Regeneration that's going to passively restore HP as I'm going, so I won't have to stop and use heal spells or rest or anything like that. So it hopefully makes the rest of this a little smoother, but, you know, we'll see what happens. Cleric runs are always a bit of an adventure. So I'm just walking east to the next cave. If you have anything you want to announce, go right ahead.
All right. Would just like to remind you all out there that RPGLB is proud to once again partner with the ET to bring you 4 amazing t-shirts and a hoodie now available. The awesome t-shirts are back for another year courtesy of the ET. That's YETEE. The YET.com/RPGLB. And the ET are donating $5 from each shirt sold in Nami. All right, so...
Yeah.
Now, remind me, I did watch your run before. We are now heading over to the Azkan Temple. That's correct?
Azkan, actually. So it's the Azkan Temple. Azkan is not to be confused with Aztec. You know, any similarities are purely coincidental. Definitely not a culturally insensitive representation or anything. Yes, it totally is. But anyway, we're going through this cave, and it's going to take us to the Azkan Temple, where we're going to get a thing that we need. But first, I'm going to be picking up this regen ring here, if I can get past these beetles here. I have to kill all of these beetles. If I accidentally leave one, then it'll block my passage on the way back. And then I take out these trolls that are guarding the ring. This also gets me a little bit extra experience, so hopefully I'll have more than 21 HP going into the temple. I think I have to do some inventory management here. Yes, I do. Okay, so I pick up the ring here, and I'm just going to head back out. So up here, these scorpions can be very dangerous, so I have to be very careful about skipping them. That went okay. Same with these saber-toothed tigers coming up here. I can skip these. This one I have to fight. In the normal route, I can avoid it, but in this route I have to fight it, and fortunately, that went okay. Still haven't leveled up. Hopefully that happens in the temple, because I definitely want more HP than what I have right now. But this isn't, you know, I am at full health at least, so. The Azkan Temple, which is coming up, is the hardest part of the run in any percent, but when we're doing the no hide route with a Ring of Regeneration, it's quite a bit easier. But it was the hardest part of the run for me to route. So I'm doing a save load here to skip a forced encounter, and then I'm going to go in. So yeah, like I said, these enemies, definitely a little bit of cultural insensitivity going on, but it's not going to be going on for too long, so. But you can see here, there's a lot of twists and turns and secret doors in here, and traps, And so I did level up there, but I only gained 2 HP. So that's kind of a bummer, but I do have heavy armor, so I shouldn't take like a ton of damage in here. One of the biggest issues is just the traps. So you see that I walk in some of the rooms and I do kind of a half circle around them instead of taking the shortest route to the door. That's to avoid traps, because if we walk on all the traps, it adds up to a significant amount of damage. Yeah, like there, I accidentally walked on one. I'm just gonna go ahead. I should be fine because I'll regenerate most of that HP. You can see here I'm kind of walking through secret doors rather than taking the most direct route. Again, it's to avoid traps. There's like a trap every other square in this dungeon, so if my movement pattern seems a little peculiar, that's the reason. So these enemies down here are usually not too dangerous unless there's 2 of them at a time, or some of the magic users can be a little tricky because they can give you blindness or disease. If you get blind, it happens very rarely, but if you're blinded in this run, you just have to reset. It's game over. If you get diseased, that's not the end of the world, and the cleric can cure disease if you really need that. But disease makes your Ring of Regeneration not work if you're using that, so it would just make things a little more dangerous here. So I'm just kind of spamming arrows here to take out a couple enemies that are in this room. This room is, again, it's very dangerous in any percent. It's not as bad in this route because we have heavier armor. So I'm going to do inventory management and pick up a Ring of Fire Resistance. So fire resistance is actually critically important in this run, and it's actually basically a key item because there's the next dungeon you can't get in without that specific Ring of Fire Resistance. It's specifically set up to just lock you out of the dungeon. Even if you have like fire resistance with a spell, you need that ring. So I now have to backtrack out of this dungeon, and all the enemies respawn. So like I said, this part's dangerous in any percent, but it's not as bad in this category because of the armor and using this Ring of Regeneration. It's not that bad. You see my HP's still at 18, which is fairly high. You know, for this run, like, this is a run where you can absolutely be finishing the whole run with just like single-digit HP. And, you know, it's risky, but just how it goes sometimes. So again, just kind of avoiding all the traps. There's one more that I have to walk over there, but otherwise, this is looking pretty good. I should be able to get out of here without any trouble. And then we'll do a bit more backtracking and move on to the next area. So if you have anything you'd like to read or say, go ahead.
All right, do have a few things here. We have a $50 donation from Zell. Says, Rujasu makes this look so easy. Could I hire them to fight a dragon for me in my Pathfinder game tomorrow? All right, and then have a $25 donation from Final Flame. No comment, thank you. And then $15 donation from Chaosix, I apologize if I messed that up. No comment, but still, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for those donations. Shout out to Final Flame, who's a longtime friend of mine. So, alright, so we're out of the temple. Didn't get any encounters on the way back. Gonna do a safety save here. That was bad timing. I'm just gonna reload so I don't have to deal with that group of fighters there. So I have to be very careful with skipping these saber-tooths here. If you time it wrong, which I just did, then you die, but I'm not going to lose that much time because I just saved. It's weird. Sometimes you think you have the timing exactly right there, and you don't. I definitely thought I had done it right, but... So you have to be very careful. You have to let this tiger walk like that, and you have to let both of those tigers walk into the frame. And if you go too early, then they bite you, and they'll just basically take you out in one shot like you just saw there. But fortunately, if you safety save, it's not too big of a time loss. So, yeah, if you're doing this run for the first time and not going for world record, it's nice that you can do safety saves like all over the place. And, you know, if you just want to finish your run, you can grab that Ring of Regeneration to make things a little safer. There's lots of ways that you can make this run a little friendlier, because if you're, you know, going for the world record route in this or the any percent category, there's a lot of just, you know, spots where it's like, okay, I'm going to take a risk, and if it doesn't work, the run's over. But, you know, it's, if you just want to get into this run and learn it, like, I highly recommend it if you know, haven't run RPGs before, if you want, you know, a first-time deal, or you just want to add something new. You know, it's an RPG which you can run in about 30 minutes, which I think that's really cool. Like, you're not doing some weird skip or something, you're just running the whole game, but it's just really fast. So, I got a little bit of bad luck with encounters there, but it's not too big of a deal. So I'm just going to go back into this cave that we went into in the beginning, but I'm going to take a little different route here. And I'm going to take this back pathway, and I don't have to fight any enemies in here. It's just kind of a winding path that I have to follow. And you'll see in a second here why I needed to pick up a Ring of Fire Resistance. Seems kind of handy in this area, where it's just like, oops, all fire. So, I'm just going to head up here, and fortunately I'm getting pretty good luck with encounters. Sometimes we can get a lot of encounters in there, because, you know, there's just so much space open. Like I said, we don't like to actually fight dragons in this Dungeons & Dragons run, we just like to walk past them. And they don't really mind if you do, just kind of let you go. We do have to fight scorpions, though, and this room is one of the worst parts of a no-hide percent run. It'll be worse on the way back. So here, I'm going to pick up a medallion. I don't need that sword. And picking up this medallion will complete the Duke's quest, which is kind of the main quest that we've been on this whole time. I didn't explain it, but it's not really important. You're just on a quest to find another kingdom, basically. And these scorpions, sometimes this goes really fast and easy, and sometimes you just get hit a million times and you get poisoned. And yeah, like I said, sometimes that happens. So I'm going to move the bow here, and I'm going to move like this, and I'm going to avoid them, and can use this antidote that I just picked up. And that'll be fine because I'll recover HP on the way back. So I have to do another dragon skip here. Usually I can just spam arrows here and the dragon will get out of the way. But sometimes it does that and it doesn't get out of the way. And that's going to be annoying. So I'm just going to keep spamming, and sometimes it backs up. Yeah, that's what I need. Come on, come on. Okay, it didn't hit me. Perfect. All right, so I'm out. So do a save. I'll do a load. And then I'm going to take this medallion back to the castle, and nothing is going to go wrong at the castle. I promise. Yeah. So I'm just backtracking to the castle. When I get to the castle, everything's going to be fine, and it's going to be game over. You know, nothing's going to surprisingly go wrong when we get there, right? Right?
Of course.
If there's anything you'd like to say or read, go ahead.
Yeah, real quick, just like to remind you out there, we do have some prizes available up. $10 minimum donation. You can throw in for a chance to get a golden sundusk mat. We also have a live D&D 5th edition game. $5 minimum donation will get you in on that. And then we also have Lord of the Rings Shadow Box. $15 minimum donation will get you through that. Those are all available through until the end of the Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring. And then real quick, we have a $51 donation from Prof NES. No comment, but thank you very much.
All right, so we're almost back at the castle. There will be a couple short dungeons left this run. So yeah, you can see that the castle has undergone a bit of remodeling while we were out. They had a big party. We missed it, but you know, everything's cool. And you know, they're all really hungover, so that's why you don't see anybody right now. So we're just gonna walk over here to Marmillion and get another key item. And that key item is going to let us into the final dungeon. So we're gonna take a quick shortcut to the final dungeon here. This is not the final dungeon. This is the path to the final dungeon. And this part isn't too dangerous. You just have to know which way to go. Zombies are pretty much no threat at all. And then there will be a few more dragons to skip. And that's all we have to do in here. Just to get through this little part here. Or secret doors. And there's a dragon here that we can just walk past. There's another one here that we have to wait a second to see what it does, and then we can go past. And the same with this one. And here we're in the final area. This is the land of the Dark Elves. Let's see if I get an encounter here. Looks like I will not, so that's cool. So I'll do a quick safety save right outside the final dungeon, and hope for the best here. So this is the first floor of the dungeon. I want to make sure I walk exactly in the right pattern here, because that'll make this part a lot easier. So there's a big group of elves here that I can just walk around, and if I walk in the right pattern, they won't attack me at all. These I want to spam arrows at, and if I do it right, that happens, and they just get out of the way for the most part. Well, it was going alright until that wizard walked up in there. Alright. This is fine. This is why I have 1,000,000 safety saves for this run, because I have seen all of those things happen before. You hope that they don't all happen in the same run, but all of those things can happen. Okay, so once again, I'm going to try and spam arrows and try to not get fireballed by that wizard. Right. This is not ideal, but okay. I got fireballed like from the side there. That's okay. So hang on. I get this lieutenant. Okay. I'm a cleric, so I have heal spells, so I'm gonna do that. All right. That hopefully gives me enough to get through the rest of this. So normally I'd walk up and do melee attacks, but I want to be extra safe here, so I'm just going to spam the sling and hit everything from range, because I don't want to take any damage in here. And I definitely don't want to melee these wizards, because the wizards, if you get up close to them, they'll fireball you for 20, like you saw on the last floor. But if you're far away from them, they don't fireball you, which is kind of the opposite of what you'd expect, you know? Normally those mages like to sling fireballs from a distance, but in this game, they like to do it up close. It's weird. So a lot of these enemies in this area are very tough, and with someone other than the cleric, I'd try to fight them, but with the cleric, I'm more inclined to try and skip them. This fire giant, though, I just kind of have to kill it. Okay. This chimera, I can skip. Yeah, like that. And this vampire here, I'm gonna try and skip the vampire as well, because the vampire, you can't attack that vampire with the sling, you have to hit it with a magic weapon. So with other characters, I have a magic bow, but with the cleric, I have just the sling, so skipped that vampire. Medusa was kind of a pushover. This fire giant here, I don't want to get close to it at all. Fire giants are really mean in this game. Okay. This stone giant here is less of an issue. Really everything that I'm terribly concerned about in this run is past us. So I should be good the rest of the way. Time's going to be coming up in a bit. So if I didn't say it earlier, I want to give a big shout out to Moderate Jog, who is the world record holder in this category and any percent, and recently put out a great tutorial video for any percent, which the strategies to that, most of them apply to this run as well. And I also a big shout out to just all of the Warriors of the Eternal Sun runners. There's not a lot of us, but, you know, everybody who's time. So, yeah, you get to watch this cool little ending here. It's really quick. But yeah, shout out to community. Shout out to everybody who made RPG Limit Break possible. Thank you so much for having me on. Really appreciate it. And shout out to anybody out there who's LGBTQ. Love y'all. You're awesome. You can find me on Twitch at Rujasu55. Again, thank you so much for having me.
Throw us into an ad, please.
All right. Thank you, Rujasu, for that run. Can I just say I really love that ending sequence. Really amazing. We'll be right back. We just need to throw to a quick ad. Stick around. We've got more fun for you. All right, if you're just now joining us, this is RPG Limit Break, a charity marathon raising money for NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Unfortunately, this is it for me as a host. I am going to be throwing over to Moonblaze Wolf. Please give him a warm welcome. I am James Picard 007. Have a wonderful day, you all.